Good morning to everyone. And how is everyone today? I'm still trying to wake up. I just made my oxalate juice, threw it on a t-shirt, and basically, yeah, I look like a zombie, or I feel like a zombie. Yeah, all the hair's all over the place, and I haven't shaven. as you can as you can sort of see, I did shave last night, before I went to bed, but there's a bit of very tiny growth anyway. Fuck all. This is how scruffy I look anyway. I'm not too bad. I have seen scruffier people, even some ex-partners looking worse than me. Anyway, hello, looky. Don't forget to reboot you. I'll reboot you. Came out here and prepare oxalate juice. I didn't get a chance to. I forgot the actual. I just realised when I put the coffee down, I actually went live. I looked at the. I forgot to comb my hair. Anyway, too late for that. Yeah, it's pretty much how scruffy I look normally when I get out of bed. Who cares? Anyway, no music standby. I should have put some music standby. You're right. You're right, T2. Yes. I do have all those little clips. Yes, exactly. Good point. Richard's on the ball as well. What are they banning you? They're banning standard words now. Hey, that's Cole's work. That'd be copywriting Cole. You guys go to the really some strange websites. Anyway, that was my stupid comment for the day. Want to barbecue my steak. Gala force winds stopping me. Yeah, we had some winds down here a couple of days. It's just howling and just blowing all over the place. Yeah, it was a bit on the wild side. So I knew the feeling. Yes. I mean, that weather is with you guys in New Zealand. So, yes. Get those shady. I mean, fuck, they don't look too bad. I mean, what is it? Could look worse. For my age. Actually, when I have a shower, it usually sort of buffs up the face a bit and sort of looks a bit cleaner. Bit of, But yeah, going very late to bed isn't a good thing. That's true. I should have put the sunnies on just for a laugh. Yeah, basically. Yeah, late night. I'm still half asleep. So, yeah, it does knock you about. That's one thing, especially at my age. Yes, got to stop all these late nighters. Not a good thing. I'm aging myself faster, and other thing I've noticed is I haven't actually used now a niacin for about a month. And I've actually noticed that my skin's not as good as it used to be. So I've been experimenting. It's another experiment that I'm playing around currently with myself, just to see how I feel, and trying to play with some of the other pathways that have to do with the sort of the NAD sort of thing. So I'll report back later on that. I probably will do a video. There's some concerns that I've got about a number of the pathways and some of the longevity claims that people are making. So yeah, I'm sort of playing around with some of that, dropping off that, trying to use some other stuff, which I'll go into at a later stage, and you'll understand what I mean. And then I will go back to niacin because it does help with maintaining your skin in much better condition. I notice when I'm on niacin, my skin's much better. So we'll be going back to it. But at this present stage, while I'm doing these other experiments, I have to give niacin a bit of a miss. And at the same time, I've sort of lowered my retinol intake as well. It's part of that fucking experiment. So, yes. And it seems to be demonstrating that I really need both those things. Anyway, so we will move on. Yes, hit the damn like button. Blast it. Hammer it. Yeah, nice. It's always good learning another language. It's actually good for the brain as well. Need to make some oxalate juice. Yeah, I just made for. You're lurking, Necro Kitty. Good to see you lurking. Yes, yes. G'day, zombie. Some of these people do like their lurkers. Oops. Thank you, StreamYard, for jumping all over the place. Yeah, God. The beady eyes. You do? God. I'll give up all those supplements then. I don't need them. I'm gorgeous. Thanks, Jill. Yes, that's true. We do share the weather and our animals. Did I say that too loud? Just give me a sec. I just had to stop my mic and start it up again. It's just for some reason I got a USB type message. I don't know why. Anyway, shit happens. Crazy things are happening today. It's because I haven't tested anything. G'day, Mandy. Good to see you here. G'day, Dylan. Good to see you here, mate. Oops. Shift it again. I was taking about 250 milligrams, but I've stopped it completely. I'm well into my, what is it now? I've got about another month to go, so to do 3 months. So anyway, it's part of an experiment that I'm doing, an N of 1. So, whether I make a video of it or not, I don't know yet. There's some other stuff that I've actually been researching on senescence as well. So I'm playing around with that sort of stuff. And then I'm deliberately coming off niacin completely out of my system and bringing it down. And then I'm going to try 3 months of this other stuff, which has to do with senescent cells and stuff like that, another protocol. And I'm going to see what that effect is. So it's over 6 months. It's a long period of time, I know, but you guys will notice if there are any changes, so to speak. But I'm not giving away too much until I'm through the whole process. So I've still got 1 more month to go that I haven't taken niacin. And once I hit the 3rd month, then I'm going to do 3 months, which is, and probably this period, because, you know, you're having inappropriate foods and stuff like that, I'm probably increasing my oxidative stress as well, you know, through this period, out in the sun far longer for hours, you know, walking with my mate and all that. So I've noticed even my skin is slightly redder than usual. So because where niacin would be suppressing a lot of that. That's just part of it, unfortunately. But I'm not deliberately trying to age myself or cause myself harm, but I need to work out whether the other stuff does work. And I have to literally get, you know, because there is some sort of residual sort of effect, and I need to basically be able to confirm inside myself that I've eliminated that thing. And then I'm going to try the other stuff and see what effects, and then I'll be able to sort of report back on that. It has to do with the longevity stuff. It has to do with a lot of that sort of stuff, and I don't want to give too much away in that regard. Necrokitty's got an attachment there for us. So, God almighty. It doesn't take long for... yes. Oops. Yes, get those shades on, Harry. To hide baggy eyes. Yeah, I know. Feathery prey. Focused on the bird. Nice one, Kitty. Thank you. Yes. Definitely focus on the bird. Oops. Where did that go? I just lost the damn spot. I lost the spot. Yeah, sort of. I've got a number of concerns when it comes to NMN, NR, a lot of the stuff that that basically David Sinclair talks about. Did you see Elliot's Overtones recent video, Harry? No, I haven't, mate. What was it about? Just drop a comment letting me know if there's anything controversial. And any other stuff, you know, you guys want to talk about that people are doing or people are saying, or, you know, that may just not sound right, or it's always interesting, because I don't get, you know, getting a chance to sort of, I've been back last week So the whole week I've been really working late hours and getting home late, and it's probably not a good thing, but anyway, trying to catch up, less people around, a number of people, because they haven't taken their, normally people take like their holidays and they usually come back like when schools start up again. But this year, not the case, because a lot of people can't go many places, so they're probably holding off. I mean, I spoke to one lady that works in another area, and she said, "Oh, look, I came back because she normally takes the holidays and goes with the kids and family and all that." But she said, "Nah, later in the year when we're over this sort of corona situation, hopefully, then so there's a lot of reasons, people's finances and whatever else." Yes. Playing the gear stick. Yeah. He's a deviant little thing, isn't he? God almighty. Old Westy. If one doesn't eat shellfish, can manganese be a nutrient concern on a carnivore diet? I'm intrigued. I don't think so. Manganese is actually required far more for like carbohydrate metabolism. And from my understanding, you should get enough. And the body conserves. It's a bit like the body's pretty good at actually, when there's certain nutrients which are required in larger amounts, it'll actually uptake them far more rapidly. And when there is less requirement for certain nutrients, it'll excrete them. So if you actually give yourself more magnesium and you don't need it, the body will just excrete more. And if you're not getting enough, it will basically use more. Recycle more through the kidneys. So the kidneys will actually, so you've got a whole lot of buffering systems that will actually try to retain on stuff. It's only when you've done it for a very long time, let's say you've done prolonged fasting without any, mineral supplements or getting anything from food, that's when you can become deficient in that regard. But as I said, if you're doing, like you've seen where I've got those colloidal minerals, those mineral ions, because they're properly ionized minerals in that solution of that water solution. So if I'm doing like a prolonged fast or whatever, then I'll use that sort of stuff. But I only use it for that purpose. It's my fasting sort of, get the minerals in and a bit of sodium and stuff like that, which is this sort of trick. But I don't really get too wound up about those sort of issues. If you're eating, you should get more than enough from your diet. A lot of the things that we think are important in a standard diet, which actually has a lot of glucose metabolism and requires more enzymes and more systems, and also, tends to have far more reactive oxygen species that it generates. And as a consequence, you need to actually upregulate 4 more enzymatic pathways to correct and fix and whatever else. It's less of a problem, so, and if the occasional thing you do the occasional bone broth, what I do, and the occasional things like, a bit of organ meats, yeah, you're never going to have an issue, really, to be honest. Steak only for years and years and years, maybe, potentially, depending on your biology and what other things you're doing. Very hard to say because we've got no science for it. But that's why I say to people, mix it up. It's like, for instance, niacin and thiamine are much higher in pork. So if you're eating basically, but then again, even if, let's say you're eating beef, you're still getting more than enough of the thiamine you need for your diet. Thiamine is much higher required under a mixed macro or, a carb centric diet. But if you're on an animal centric diet, it goes down. Actually, the one thing that really is much higher requirements is riboflavin. Riboflavin is one of those things that really is required for a lot of things. Yes. So those are the things that I and a good microbiome. You know, I still need to do that video on the restoring of the microbiome. It's coming, but it's just haven't had time. My pupper's had 7 teeth removed a couple of days ago, and also level 3 heart murmurs. I was going to see if I could help his heart like Harry did. Any tips for my 12-pound dog eating what? Is it a Bart diet? No, a bath diet. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. There are certain requirements that animals have far more, like taurine is really an important thing that I find when it comes to animals. They have a lot of them very suboptimal in that regard. So, yes. And Lukey just put the Discord page up there. So just for people want to know. Anyway, I think as long as they're eating, they're eating sort of animal foods, they should be okay. Taurine may be a bit of a requirement for cats and dogs. And sometimes they may not be getting enough from just the muscle meat in that regard. So you're going to add some organ meats and other things like that to the mix and see how they go. But taurine actually affects us. It affects animals as well. I know people talk about some of the minerals like magnesium playing a role, but it's those sort of things like magnesium are just an issue when you actually are deficient. If you're not, if you're even subclinical, you may not get any of those sort of conditions. So, and most of those sort of, conditions are sort of structural conditions that only, when it comes to a heart, only taurine can fix a structural issue with your heart. There is no other way. When tissue has in some way changed its structure, taurine has a suppressive effect on tissue remodeling. So it actually prevents it. It holds it back. It can actually restore proper modeling of the actual heart, which is really important to prevent some of those issues. So I tend to believe that that is a better bloody hell. Just detach. Don't know what it's doing. I'm getting some funny behavior. Your pupils can expand by 50% when you see something you love. The bird. Wrong bird. That was the wrong bird. Sorry. Oops. Okay. 80% raw meat, 10% organs, 10%. That's not bad, that's pretty good. Compared to what some other animals eat, which unfortunately they get this kibble crap, and unfortunately some of the animals, because they're getting the kibble crap, they end up quite deficient in taurine. Elliot's video was just justifying his high-dose thiamine therapy, trying to save various enzymes, recover metabolism due to toxicity, oxidative stress, inflammation. Look, Elliot's sort of approach with thiamine has its value in very narrow conditions. I would say, yep, it could be used as a short term, like a couple of months, but long-term use would create other imbalances in B vitamins. I don't think it's a good idea, personally. At the end of the day, it's sort of like a Band-Aid solution. It's like a naturopathic Band-Aid solution. I don't think it's a permanent solution. I think at the end of the day, you really need to restore your gut microbiome. A lot of the pre-existing oxidative stress, pre-existing conditions and all that are basically due to the conditions that people find themselves into, that are basically coming off a sad diet, a poor diet, or whatever. And once you transition to a proper species-appropriate diet, it can take some time. It can take 1 to 2 years to basically deal with some of these conditions. As I said, the biggest problem is the gut microbiome is just a wreck. And because it's a wreck, people are struggling. You really need to restore. And this is why my approach is adding 3 types of supplements in considerable doses. One is basically the B complex, which I'll discuss in a future video. And the other one is vitamin D, because it deals with a lot of these sort of inflammatory, autoimmune, blah, blah, MK4, and basically the Reuteri. And the Reuteri really is there as a way of suppressing the pathogenic bacteria. So it gives then space for the beneficial bacteria to start proliferating and sharing amongst themselves a lot of the actual the B vitamins, and that's how they grow. They feed off each other in a sense, and then they end up providing a supplemental B complex from themselves to supplement the food you're actually taking. And so then you don't need any of these supplementations once you fix your gut microbiome. So that should be the focus, really, not this sort of, reductionist type of intervention. It works, don't get me wrong, as a short-term thing, but it's not a long-term solution. Yes. As I said, it's a sort of naturopathic, you've got the one side where the MDs keep you on the drugs and the naturopaths keep you on the supplements. Did I say that too loud? Did I annoy people? Probably. Anyway, Harry, I have a friend recently diagnosed with kidney stones, citric acid. She's been told to avoid salt. Well, what they say is that there's a potential for, more kidney stone formations. It's bullshit. There's no science for it. Never has been. It's oxalates. It's oxalates, and sometimes the combinations of, high fructose consumption and high uric acid or dysregulated uric acid production. So it can be both, or both together, or either one. So ultimately, she should up her citric acid for the time being to try and actually, sort of break down those stones and get rid of them, and cut out a lot of the oxalate foods. Simple as that. Chocolate, things like that, and a whole lot of other things. Yes, poor puppy. Yes, rather than Dylan, rather than addressing traditional deficiencies because of inappropriate diets and stuff like that. Yeah. The best thing you can do for your health is basically restoring those, getting the right foods in, view organ meats and crustaceans and all these things as sources of minerals, vitamins and minerals, micronutrients. The foundation of your diet should be micronutrients, because they are all the cofactors for all the enzymes. So without them, your body can't work. You can't function properly. So it'll be working suboptimally. So you need to convert things. You take essential fatty acids or essential amino acids or these substances and all that. And you need all these enzymatic pathways and proteins that basically are carrier proteins or, move things around. Enzymes that basically catalyze a whole lot of, reactions, chemical reactions in the body. And so they basically require all these cofactors. And as long as you're providing your body with the stuff that it needs, and some of those processes come down when you're on a species appropriate diet, you don't need to do as so many processes, because it's much easier to take aminos and stuff like that. There's a whole lot of things around aminos. Their utilization can be quite different between one and another. But those are sort of variations, which I won't focus. I'll focus on a future video, because I probably want to do something in terms of the way things are used in the body at some point. A lot of people probably not aware the way even amino acids are used through tissue and the different utilization that actually happens. Yes. Anyway, move on. That's for future videos. You're welcome. I've used high dose thiamine burst to nail fibrom pain. Not a regular thing, though. More like a 2-day therapy. Yep. Yeah, if it's a short-term thing, as I said, short-term things are fine. It's when we sort of get to the sort of long type things that then we can get ourselves into trouble and create imbalances. Random stated, but I don't think I've ever seen someone with lactose intolerance in Ireland. I don't think you will. The Irish have some of the best lactose persistent genes in the world. They are actually right at the top. It's 97, 98 or 99. Some people say it's 100%, that there is no person with a lactose intolerant genes in Ireland. I doubt that. There may be one or two, but it's extremely rare for somebody to be lactose intolerant in Ireland. Let's put it that way. I suspect that's the Discord stuff. Yep, I'm responding decently to Ben Photome. Yep. Yeah, look, if you are good, it does seem to get through the blood-brain barrier as well, quite well, and it seems to have better bioavailability as a form. Never used it, but that's what I hear from the literature. Pick which wrong one. Indeed. Is that because did I drink too much? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, small comments amongst you guys. Milky eyes. A bit foggy there. Yes, yes. They aren't alluring enough for you. Is that what you're saying? More about the feed dog live mouse. Oh, that's nasty. You're an animal. Yes. God, you'd expect a Blinky to jump in and say yes. God, no style, no style. Yes, absolutely, Mandy. Such love amongst these lovely people, isn't there, Mandy? Just so much love going around. Yeah, some of the stuff out there is really nasty. That a lot of the actual one other thing that people aren't aware of is that some of the amino acids that are synthesized, including taurine as well, some of the kibble can have like inhibitory effects in some of the animals. I've heard about it. I know it happens in cats, and you can actually the cats. It's a long time. Don't quote me on the study, but I remember they basically were losing their eyesight. They were basically getting like retinopathy and stuff like that, the cats and stuff like that, because some of the actual kibble was causing some of these effects. So, yeah, not a good thing. Let's put it that way. Tasmanian space program. Thanks, mate. Hey, you got the wrong. That's not our flag. That's the American flag, the US flag. You should have put the Australian flags there. There was an Australian in space. Oh, Loki. Oh. Get it right, man. Get it right. Yes, it wasn't on a. Can't remember now because there's been an Australian been on a US vehicle and on a Russian vehicle, and I just can't remember which one was the recent one. Yes, it may have been the Russian one, recent one, going up to the International Space Station. Anyway, what MK dose do you think is suitable along with vitamin D to maintain? Look, if you're actually getting, I actually am not supplementing it currently, and I usually get mine from dairy, like brie and stuff like that, from liver and from those sort of foods. But when I was doing my sort of heart protocol, I initially started with the lower dosages, the Carlson one, which was 5, milligrams, and then I sort of worked up to 15. So yeah, and then I started taking the high doses, which was a 15, and taking those 3 times a day. It was part of that decalcification. I sort of was also doing high doses of taurine. I'm down to 3 grams now, but at the time I worked my way up like 2 grams. 1 gram, 2 grams, 3 grams, 4, 5, up to 6 grams of taurine. That's how I basically fixed up all the fibrotic tissue in my heart. So all the sort of tissue, the scarred tissue of some heart damage that I had back a decade ago, all that was eliminated. Remember, I did the last year in January where I did I did it actually the previous year, which was 2019 in November, I think it was, when I got my heart scanned, and then I got the good news in basically January of last year. So, but since then I'm going, well, I don't need to be taking that level. So I've sort of come down to about 3 grams now with taurine. And MK4 I've sort of eliminated in that regard. Vitamin D I normally don't take. I usually go to the tropics in like for a month in the middle of winter, because I'm usually out and about in summer getting quite a bit of vitamin D. But this year I've been supplementing, make sure that the oil that it's in is either extra virgin olive oil, MCT oil, palm oil, or coconut oil. I haven't actually, somebody told me that was one with coconut oil, but I'm not sure. I know there's palm oil ones, there's MCT ones, and olive oil ones. But, there's all the other crap, which is all the seed oils, the other stuff. You don't want that. And I was basically taking 5,000 IUs. I also have in my cupboard 10,000 IUs, but I haven't taken any of those. And they were basically, if I did get the COVID, the actual virus, I would then mega dose for a couple of days. And I still have some of my MK4. I have to check it. I don't know. I think it's still hasn't expired, the actual date, but I still have some of that. But that's just specifically when I take the high doses of vitamin D. I'll be taking the MK4 as well. But it depends on what your circumstances are. If you're basically trying to decalcify your system, then you need to be on a very low inflammatory diet, no cheats whatsoever. And you need to keep it really clean to keep the inflammation down, and then get a doctor to check to make sure that your inflammatory markers have come down. And once you know your inflammatory markers have come down, then you initiate the protocol of basically decalcifying over a number of years. If that's what you're trying to do, I'm not sure because you haven't explained. But really, you can get all these things in the diet, basically, and from the sun. But if you're basically concerned about the corona, yes, that popular drink, having too much of that popular drink from other people, then you basically, I'd be supplementing about at least 5,000 IUs. And if I got it, I would be mega dosing up to 50, 60,000 IUs with my MK4 supplement. And that's pretty much what I would be doing at that point to make sure that I'm protecting myself. That's pretty much it. I don't really like recommending, the stuff that it's all aminos, L-citrulline, that turns into L-arginine, and then that turns into nitric oxide, which basically vasodilates the blood vessels, which is really good. Taurine, because we synthesize less and less as we're getting older, and very important for all sorts of things in the body, and pretty much choline, which I've still got that bag. I don't know, is the date? When does this expire? Where's that? I can't remember where the damn date thing is on this one. Okay, this will expire on the 24th of the 3rd, which basically means that I've pretty much got another 2 months. And look how much is still left over. All that is still left over below there. So, as I said, I get most of my choline from eggs, and it's only when I have sort of, I'm sick and tired of eggs, I usually go to that. And I'll probably buy myself another choline supplement, which I'll very rarely use. So, we can get most of the stuff from food. I mean, I'm sort of lucky living in Tasmania. I've got access to a lot of crustaceans and a lot of seafood. So I get a lot of my nutrients from seafood. Mussels, I occasionally make a mussel soup, which is a good source of, copper, a good source, and a number of other minerals. Mussels are really, when it comes to all these minerals, are great. And it's like having a mineral supplement. So yeah, it's that sort of stuff. I mean, Yeah. You got don't. It's supplements aren't the way, really, guys. It's ultimately getting good nutrition in. Supplements are to fix deficiencies, pre-existing deficiencies, or used strategically in a way to correct problems that you may have, like my cardiovascular issues or other things. Or people may have, let's say, some level of dementia or stuff like that. They may need to basically increase their choline for acetylcholine, taurine, because it clears out the beta amyloid, all these sort of things. So it really depends, the dosages and what you're doing, of what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to deal with. More isn't better, because it can create imbalances when you're starting to take things which you don't require. So just keep that in mind. Just because we can supplement, it doesn't mean we should be supplementing all the time with everything. Maybe you are dog food. That's nasty. That's really evil, T2. You're welcome. G'day, Deborah. Good to see you here. Gosh. Oops, lost my spot. Is camel fat low deuterium? Just got some. Yes, it is very low deuterium. It's what allows the actual, prevents the actual camels from really showing their age. They're just incredible. They're actually deuterium depleting machines. Unfortunately, eating camel fat isn't going to basically turn you into a depleting deuterium machine, but it is the lowest deuterium fat. And so out of all the fats, it's the lowest. I mean, I usually talk about lard being 115 parts per million, which is better than tallow or butter, which is around the 120 odd. But, when you're looking at, camel's fat, it's probably closer to around the 100 odd. So, it's really damn low in that regard. So as a fat, yeah. How did you get it? Is the other question. Who's your supplier? And what does it taste like? Let us know. Yeah, exactly. Should who rename COVID-19 like Mickey Soft? They can rename it whatever. It doesn't make much difference. That was the one made for fun for me. Yes. G'day, Raymond. Mouse more like Colvert, 1984. Yes, sounds perfect. Yes. I hope you're wearing your mask and you're muzzled and you're basically quarantining in your basement. Yes, we live in a crazy world, don't we? Damn crazy world. Lost in space. Yes, I was lost in space. Yes, exactly. The flags. Oops. What happened? I just lost all my comments. What the fuck? Oh, God. Okay, it's come back. Had to refresh. Drives you up to more about the multiple seizures. Well, what? My only been on for about half a year. My cat too. Cat went from multiple seizures a day to once a month, and her skin, kibble bad. Yep, exactly. It actually can drive down, it cause deficiencies, Plus, I know that it actually interferes with things like taurine. And a lot of this kibble is very poor in taurine and a couple of other substances, which I don't remember off the top of my head now, but lack of sleep. Yeah, and so, yeah, there's a couple of issues there. Yeah, you will notice a lot of difference once you get the animals off the kibble. That's true. Yes, when they are on a species-appropriate diet. Yeah, having kidney problems, exactly. Precisely. Yeah, that's real animal cruelty. And then that's actually abusing, putting an animal through suffering. That's true, putting an animal, where we at least it's out in the pasture, living. It doesn't even, in nature, animals will clump together and all that. They're all fearful of the predators around them. Farmers, on the other hand, are very nice to the animals. They're out in the pastures. They actually don't clump together. They roam around all freely and are happy. And then once they've served their purpose and can provide us with nutrition, they're knocked out, they're stunned, knocked out, and then slaughtered. Where's the suffering? Where these idiots basically put them on the kibble and actually cause them years and years of suffering until they die. Yes, they are such humanitarians. They are such people of, high morals and compassion. Yes. Yeah, that's all we need. More fucking vegan compassion. Oh, troublemaker. How are you, flappers? So what's Fapnado saying? There's a brand called Ken Prev Vitamin D and coconut oil. Okay. Yep. I had heard that there were some brands out there. The majority are in seed oils, which is crap. Some are in olive oil and some are in MCT and palm oil. But yeah. Oh, it's only in Canada. Okay. Yes, you Canadians have quite a few of these variations. I know Jared once told me about that he was getting something along those lines or whatever at the time. This was through the Corona period. Yes. Never go over 300 milligrams, remember, guys? Never over 300. Always keep it 250 and below. Yes. I usually split them in half, actually. 125 and what I get from food, which usually pushes me up to the 300 mark anyway. So, and if I eat quite a lot of like pork and stuff like that, I'm going to get to that level and I won't have a supplement that day at all when I was doing that. But currently, I'm abstaining due to a new experiment. Yes, Harry's treating himself as an experimental animal. Yes, in terms of assessing other things, in terms of dealing with senescent cells. It'll be interesting to see whether I can clear senescent cells faster with the other stuff or not. It will be interesting. I react pretty bad to a B complex on an empty stomach. Any idea probably why B was in folic acid form? You could be converting it to cyanide like I do. Folic acid will convert to cyanide in some people. I have those genes. You may have those genes as well. So not a good thing. And the other thing is there may be some gut microbiome issues as well, or stomach acidity issues as well, potentially. Because if there's a few nasties in there, they'll be hijacking some of those and feasting and growing. So that could be where it's hard without testing for me to really see. Oh, I need to increase that. Thanks, T1. God. Yeah, you get the gong today, mate. You get the gong. Your local Tassie devil. Our local Tassie devil. Love it, mate. Love it. Absolutely love it. I could watch that all day. We're not doing any more. I'm watching this. I'll drink a bit of oxalate juice on that. That was funny. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Yes. What was that? Yeah. So potentially, and also the brand, there could be other things in there. There could be sometimes people can get reactivity to certain compounds in the supplements. So it's really hard to know exactly unless I've got details, but I'm just, wildly speculating at the moment. Oops. Lost my spot. Oh, there I am. Yeah, that was funny. That I definitely enjoy. Make me frogman. God almighty. An obsession that he's got with mice. He's a poodle. You'd have to ask Kitty that. I doubt it, knowing Kitty. She's Texan after all, so yes, I don't think it's a poodle. Yes, seems to have a bit of a fetish there. Oh, God almighty. You're sick. I'm a deuterium concentrated machine because of all the Cheetos, Pongs, and Pop-Tarts I ate in my life. Probably are. Yes, I suspect a lot of that's probably been depleted by now. Oops. I got the camel hump fat off Amazon, made by Desert Farms from Australia. You've got to be kidding me. Actually, in this country, it was expensive, $25. That's not expensive. Interesting. Oh, that $25 a kilo for the actual. Well, it's usually most fats are pretty cheaper than that. That's true, but yes. No naked flames. Oh, God. Too much information. There you go. Now we know what they are. Oh, God. Richard, get your head out of the gutter, mate. Get your head out of the gutter. Animal husbandry and everything else. Oh, God. Oh, is that what I am? Oh. I'm cute, at least. Cuter than you. Yes. Yes. We all, that was in regards to the devil. Yes. Bloody internet. Yeah, having internet problems, mate. Internet problems. Taz Devil on oxalate juice. Watch out. No, he said he's on animal foods. He's on animal foods. That's pure animal energy, mate. G'day, Bo. Good to see you. Just popped in to say hi. And everyone else, yep. Yes. Getting back to that, pure animal energy, mate. The devil from the south. Ta-da. He's on a roll. Oops. I'm at the bottom. God, that's an improvement. See how efficient I am, even when I haven't had enough sleep. It's the devil in me. Yep, the Tassie devil. Better have a bit of oxalate juice to keep you awake. Do you prefer the Hungarians or Jack Crew's approach to mitochondria? Very interesting. I would say deuterium is far more important. You know, if you take a look at the Inuit, they are Arctic explorers or Arctic people that can move vast different distances and are far stronger and robust than people living on carbs or semi-carbs in the tropics. So what do you think? You've got one population that basically is getting some depleted deuterium or some effects energy from the sun in the tropics. And then you've got people on animal foods that are living in very harsh environments and far more robust. They don't have a word in their traditional language, the Inuit language, for cancer or any other ailment. So what do you think is the best approach? I think I know which is the best approach. You keep your mitochondria undamaged, and I can tell you the greater mitochondrial density you've got as you move into older age will basically furnish you far more, not only energy to move around much more efficiently, but also to reduce senescence and also to basically maintain greater cellular health. Plus, on top of that, so I would always put diet, like Bart, diet before light and all this other stuff. They're important, don't get me wrong. You still need for your circadian rhythms, for all the health and all that sort of stuff. But at the same thing, you really need, Luke is about to come on, but basically you still need, you can go out in the sun as much as you like or whatever, sleep properly, but if you're actually eating shit, you're going to become sick. You're still going to become sick. So I think diet out trumps the other, but the other ones aren't unimportant. They're still important. So for truly optimal health, you need all of them. But the focus on deuterium depletion via diet, I think is far more important than anything than what you'd get through the other avenues of sunlight. They're important, but not as important as deuterium depletion, because humans lived in temperate climates or very cold climates for vast periods of the year and were very robust and strong on animal fat, which is basically deuterium depletion. It's another reason why the Inuit, it is my hypothesis, but a reason why I believe that the Inuit lost the capacity to basically, produce a lot of ketones, go into ketosis, like full-blown ketosis. The reason for that is because you need the long chain fats to deplete because you don't have the UV. So that's how important depletion through fat is. Where Jack, said, oh, you could go into the tropics, get some depletion, and you can still eat some kibble. I don't subscribe to that. Simple as that. And the actual literature doesn't show that. I go through Southeast Asia, and it's endemic, absolutely endemic in terms of diabetes, too much sugar. I don't care how much sun you expose yourself. If you're having too much sugar, you're never going to deplete it. You're just going to be adding so much deuterium. Your body there's not enough hours in the day to expose yourself to UV to deplete deuterium that way. At the end of the day, the diet is central. The others are peripheral. So g'day, Lukey.
Oh, hello everyone. How's my audio?
Yeah, it's a bit just slightly echoey, very slightly.
Yeah, I'm not using StreamYard's echo cancellation. I better turn this on.
yeah, enable it. I always have it enabled because I tend to be quite close to the spitter, and sometimes it can. Good to see you, mate.
It's nice to be here, but my webcam seems to be grainy somehow.
That's for a future video, Sam. You'll have to wait. They want all the information before I've even done my experiments. Dear. Just trying to catch up with the actual. Oops, lost that spot. I was hoping Bart would come on today because I actually sent him links for this one and the next one. And he said, look, if I get a chance, if I'm not, because he wanted to do a bit of training as well. So he said to me, he may come on the evening one tonight, potentially. I don't know. Maybe not. After he's had a few drinks. No, he's not doing that anymore, is he? Nah, definitely not. Not currently. He's in training and all the other sort of stuff.
Working on his discipline.
Yeah, that's it. And he's got Raymond sort of keeping him in line as well. Okay, have their own approach to mitochondria. Yep, that's exactly that. And I think the dietary approach to mitochondrial health is far superior to all the others. The others are important, don't get me wrong. Circadian rhythms are important. Sleeping, something that I'm not doing. I haven't done very well this week. But anyway, that's a different issue. When none of us are 100% compliant for a lot of things. Things like blue light, dealing with blue light, which I've dealt with quite a bit. I've got the Roy glasses, as the boys know, and I've basically got all the lights in my home that have been changed. It's not easy for many people because they are expensive. They are, $30 a pop to get the good quality ones. But at the same time, there's that option there for people. So anyway, yes, these lovely carnies. Yes, Shell's back. Oops. Richard, where were you? She was here earlier. She's back. Oh, welcome back. Oh, sorry. It's a lack of sleep. I blame the lack of sleep for my reactions. There. Richard's just saying how lovely it is to see you, Lukey.
Thanks.
So what have you been doing with yourself, mate?
So I still haven't managed to start eating fully carnivorous, but it's improving. And yeah, I managed to keep up training and stuff, and I'm actually quite happy. I said this the other time. It's the heaviest I've ever been, and I haven't put on a lot of fat. Actually, it's mostly muscle, so I'm quite happy.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you know, you're basically working yourself and all that, exercising, um, you know, sort of doing mindful things, for stress and stuff like that,
Yes.
which is important because I know you're studying, and that can be quite stressful time as well. How's your thyroid issues going now that you're actually getting rid of a lot of the actual sugary stuff out of your diet? That should be improving as well.
Yeah, and to be fair, I only have like subjective metrics, so all I can say is that I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't able to go and have my bloods tested for antibodies. I still haven't done that, and I want to
You
do
just
that.
you're just feeling better. So
Yeah,
that's a good sign, because usually listening to your body, that's a good sign that you are improving, and that's good to hear. Because fundamentally, I've always said to people, at the base level, you always need to maximize micronutrients. They're very important as cofactors for all sorts of, catalyzing processes in the actual body. So you need to keep that in mind, and at the same time, things when you're deficient in a number of these things, they don't work properly. And for when it comes to the thyroid, it's really critical. A lot of the actual minerals like selenium, iodine, zinc, all these sort of things. And when you're on a species appropriate diet and you're eating seafood, eggs, and meats, you will get these nutrients. Which the majority of people just eating junk, pasta and all that, they're not going to get that. T1, God, you are a sick little puppy, aren't you? He's our sick individual, isn't he? He's so sick. I'm going to get Cornell next time to actually troll you, T1. See how you feel about it. Yes, he's another sexual deviant. He's not here today. Oh, you did. Good for you. Good for you. I suspect from the same company. What are they? Too small. You got a big head, have you? Good for you. Or is he bragging? Is he putting him on the other head? So how are your studies and all that going?
Oh, so this year, my remaining classes, they are supposed to be over by May. I think by the end of April, beginning of May or something like that. And then the way my course works, after that, I just have to fill in internship credits. And that's why I got a job, now I can fill in the internship credits. Yeah. So basically it's like I graduate by the end of April. Functionally, I would say, because all my classes will be over by then. So it's nearing the end.
It's nearly the end. Oh, look, I wish and hope that your, career, you do well in your career. And congrats on all. Yep, you've got also Shell here is also congrats on the job. Yep, yeah, congratulations on the all that hard work that you've put in and getting to this stage. Your mum and dad must be really proud of you.
They are.
That's good. Yeah.
And they are a bit sad because I am going away back to my apartment at the capital. So they are kind of sad because of that. But at the same time, you guys know I'm quite introverted. I like to be alone. So
Yep. We do.
I'm yearning for some peace, So it's going to be nice for me.
Yeah, I can understand. See the other advantage with the carnivore diet, it actually makes you more extrovert.
Interesting. I'll keep notes on that. No, I'm not doing that. Blinkers.
He's absolutely sick as. He's a sick puppy. I should ban him for the day.
I don't like Richard. Richard's telling me that I can always come by without my video on, and I don't know. It's like after the first 5 times, after I went here and on bar string and then pings, it has become not like it's nothing special anymore. There's no stress. There's no worrying about it.
Exactly. That's it. Exactly. I mean, first you came on mine, and then you did the others as well. I know you picked me because I had a less people. That would, yeah, it made it easier for you, which is fine. I sort of didn't start on any major channel. I sort of I didn't even do a live. Initially it was all basically pre-recorded with Bart when we first started and all that, and there was a couple of things there, oops, stop, but then he started dragging me onto more of his live streams, so which was good. It sort of gave me an opportunity to sort of learn how to sort of respond to questions and sort of manage all that, because there is a bit of fine playing around and sort of going through and making sure that you're sort of focused on that sort of stuff. I used to sort of focus religiously on the StreamYard thing, which is out of whack. It doesn't move it at the same pace. And so now that I've actually got the side panel here, I can actually monitor the other part. It sort of really helps. And it sort of just,
It's called a mechanical keyboard. It's loud.
That is true. It is. I've still got one of those old, it's on a USB based one, but it's one of my old, and it's, it's like the keys are very hard, like a typewriter. Mm-hmm. And if you actually go, I used to use it as it was my original gaming, because when you actually hit your like a typewriter, your fingers actually get exercised. They're much stronger. Where you use a regular, you're actually and that's the other reason why I do a lot of those wrist and exercise, type things and holding things. Like I'll grab a bag and hold it like that, because that helps the wrist and the fingers and all that to work much better. When you're holding it like that, you're not working all the different muscles within your hand. Very important. When you're holding yourself just from a bar like that, or when you're holding yourself like that from some material, you're actually working all through the wrist here and all that, far better the muscles. And it's actually much more natural, the way we would hold or pull on things or stuff like that, to help improve the strength of those parts. Anyway, that's a lot about all that sort of stuff. A bit of congrats from there. Oops. I'll just go through that. Oops. I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, I'm also turning off my microphone just so the keyboard doesn't pop up.
Yep. Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, I have to say, I'll need blue blocking glasses if I'll be co-hosting with you on a regular basis, because it is rather annoying to have this lamp on at this time of night.
Yeah, look, it affects your circadian rhythms and it puts you out of whack, and it's not a healthy thing. You know, that's like I noticed that once I started. I mean, yes, last night I pushed the envelope. I was doing other things, and I just didn't notice the time. Actually, I was playing computer games. And then
Looks like
then I looked at the time and I'm going, oh shit. Oh, me and a mate of mine, and he's basically recently he's got himself a new console as well, and he's anyway. Long story. I'm not going to go into it, but yes, these middle-aged people, what they do in their spare time at night. Yes,
it's not that different from what I do, I guess.
yes. Actually, you're a you focus on your studies. You go to bed earlier than you're doing all that stuff. And people like me at my age group should be doing all that and are not. So yes.
I wouldn't. I don't know what to say. I wasn't expecting that.
I just keep on just clicking through, and I don't comment. That's the safest way to be. You should know that. Lukey, the best approach is don't respond to things that are not required for you to respond. Keep going is the ultimate approach. But what have you been hearing around the YouTubia and Carney community? Anything interesting that you've noticed or heard about?
So I have noticed that Paul Saladino has been making videos against coffee. That seems kind of interesting and maybe controversial, I guess. Frank is with his usual madness, I guess.
So what is he saying about coffee?
I think he's talking about the anti-nutrients, mostly the tannins and stuff like that, and how it may inhibit nutrient absorption. And he's also talking about caffeine itself not being a good thing to have on a regular basis.
No, he's actually right about all that. I suspect. I haven't seen it, but when it comes to caffeine, it is a toxin. And no different. And it actually gets through detoxified through the liver in the same way that alcohol gets detoxified, in a very similar way. So,
interesting.
And all the tannins and stuff like that are chelators. The thing is that the quantity of tannins and the quantity, like oxalate, is very low. So it's not a real issue. A lot of people talk about oxalates but it's not very high. It's very low. Unless you've basically got kidney stones, then it's not a good idea to be drinking coffee, especially a lot of coffee. But at the same time, the tannins and all the other anti-nutrients do chelate minerals, but they're not as bad as some of the other sources in that regard. So I wouldn't basically push this paleo now under animal-based. Yeah, look, it's going back to that sort of stuff. Let's put some carbs back in and stuff like that. Yeah, it's becoming more paleo-like. That's true. But the reality is a lot of people have tried paleo in the past and it was seasonal. It's not all year round. Consuming fruit, consuming tubers, consuming any source of sugar was seasonal. Before refrigeration, there was no all year round. To say that I can actually consume these foods all year round is basically nonsense. But seasonally, yes, you can. Is it optimal? No. In terms of deuterium, no, it's not optimal. But can you do it without a lot of deleterious effects compared to a standard diet? Yes, you can. But should you do it? That's up to you. It's your body, after all, what you do with your body, if you want to take that approach. But to basically argue that it actually is fine, that's ridiculous or nonsense. When it comes to other things about coffee, it does also, genes do affect. There's like a U-type curve. The majority of people have very little effect. Some people have really considerable effect from coffee, can affect them. Like one coffee, and they struggle to sleep, especially if they have it after midday onwards. So they should only be having coffee in the morning. That's you. Yeah. Where I'm the actual opposite. I can have a coffee at 12 o'clock at night and go straight to bed and be asleep in 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
So it doesn't affect me at all, let alone I've got genes, specific genes that actually allow me to detoxify both alcohol and caffeine and those sort of substances 4 times faster than other people. Part of the longevity genes that I inherited from my father's side. Mm-hmm. But I do have those, and that allows me to quickly detoxify. But that doesn't mean that I should be guzzling down shitloads of coffee. There is a threshold. I can't remember. There was a guy that actually caused himself major health issues, ended up in hospital from consuming far too much coffee in a very small amount of time. He was a student, created himself, massive amount, like a 2-liter type thing, and just drank that all night to keep himself awake, and ended up in hospital with some organ failure and stuff like that, really bad. So coffee is not basically a health food. Just people need to, and extreme amounts of hormesis as well can be very negative to the body. It's like extreme stress. Some stress is good. Too much stress is a bad thing. So it's like anything. It's like excessive cardio, not very good for the heart. It causes remodeling and stuff like that. Not a healthy thing. So it really depends. Paleo meat based. Yep, exactly.
I'm sorry. I'm just a bit weirded out by how white the palms of my hands are.
Well.
It's even worse in camera, I guess.
Well, when I tend to be quite pale looking, but when I was basically in Greece as a youngster, I had a really beautiful tan, a bit like you. I had a really beautiful tan, but look, under the hands, even people in Africa and all that are very light, because it's you don't get a lot of exposure. It's simple as that. It all has to do with a protective mechanism from the sun. That's all it is. It's, as they would say, it's all skin deep. There are genes that it's after a number of generations, you can get certain. I mean, I've got primarily I remember from my genes, I sort of can't exactly remember. Let me just find it, because I just cannot remember exactly what. Just give me a sec. I'll sign in. Keep on adding new stuff and all that.
Oh, it just came back to my mind. I linked you that video that channel Analyze and Optimize made. They talking about,
Yep, exactly. Bit of taste. Where was it? Along here somewhere. Hair thickness, no. Let me just look at the traits. get the full report. I can't remember. It was somewhere here that it basically on hair baldness. Yep, thank you. There's my early hair loss, 70%. Will experience hair loss, thinning before 40. Actually, my cousin Harry, he's got a lot of bald patches and stuff like that. You know, I actually had a lot of thinning of my hair until basically I switched my diet. I started getting these bald patches right here and one behind here. And then once I basically went more meat-based and stuff like that, they went away. So, which is a good thing. Look, I'm not saying you can reverse balding. You know, if you've got, like Bart, multiple generations of people not eating appropriately and ending up with baldness, you need multiple generations to reverse that back. It's just simple as that. But let's move off. That wasn't the 77% freckles. Yes, I know that sort of hair texture. This light or dark. No, that wasn't. What was I looking at? Skin. This is it. The skin pigmentation traits that I have, basically. So 39% have very fair skin. So I'm more than likely to have fair skin. Dark skin, 1%. We've all got these genes. Olive skin, only 3%. I know my older sister, her skin is sort of like more olive skin. But I've only got 3% of the genetics for it. So 25% for that. And that's probably more what I actually end up getting. When I do brown, I get this sort of light, sort of olive type, you know, which is only that. But mainly I'm, you know, 40% very fair and 30%. So basically 70% plus is fair skin. I can't do much about it unless I expose myself continuously to UV radiation. So it's really hard for me to basically go dark, where my older sister, easy. She's basically, her skin can go olive skin. She's probably got more genetics from my mother's side. And yeah, so it's just the way it's the luck of the draw, so to speak. So I have to basically go out there and burn myself continuously to try and get a tan. And my older sister doesn't really have to worry about it. My younger sister's the same. Actually, my younger sister's even fairer than me. So, so she basically also, but she was on an island. She's got a really good tan, but she's starting to lose it. She was really disappointed when she came to Tasmania. After a couple of years, she was really going light. She was losing all the tan that she had for 25 years being on a Greek island. And so when she came back, and she was really annoyed with that. I think that's another reason why she moved to Western Australia. Probably one of the many things. Maybe she wanted to get away from me as well. Yes. There are a lot worse out there, like you. we know too. Yeah, it was a Freudian slip on his part.
Yeah, that's why he's so sure. He's a perfect example.
A poor perfect example. Yes. Do you think you or Bart will ever get hold of someone from the repeat camp, Harry? Unlikely. I've thrown out the challenge to the repeat fan club and the repeaters and all that. And I've even been on Robbie's sort of channel, and I even dragged Bart once over to try and see whether he could lure him into, because he didn't really know Bart. He knew me as a carny, so he avoided me, but whether he would be lured by Bart. And then basically he sort of said, oh, look, I'm not set up properly. I can't, you know. So he avoided completely having any debate or even a chat. So he gave him a wide berth. And the same thing with Georgie Blinkoff, or Binkoff, as he's called. I call him Blinkoff. And yeah, I know I'm rude. I can be rude. Yeah, so basically, that guy. I mean, it's funny. He sits there. He keeps on. His receding hairline keeps increasing. He's losing his hair. I've got the genetics to lose hair. You know, everything's against me genetically. A lot of my relatives, you know, like Dad's younger brother, he's basically, you know, has got a lot of balding. His son has a lot of balding. My dad has got a lot of thin hair, but actually his hair is actually improved now. It's much thicker than what it used to be. Again, because he's eating more meat, which is good. So he's eating meat and liver. Once a week he's eating liver, which is good. I keep on reminding him because he's 86 years old in about 3 odd days. And I keep on reminding him, did you eat your liver this week? Oh, I sort of forgot it. I said, well, you know, that's not an excuse. So I keep him basically honest in that regard because I check and I go, oh, you know, how much liver is still in the actual fridge? So I do keep an eye on him because I do. It's important because we struggled with sarcopenia for a number of years and we've reversed all that. He's much stronger now and all that. But there are important things that he needs to basically address in terms of deficiencies. We've dealt with a lot of them. His doctor's really happy and I've had a chat with his doctor, and so all those have been corrected because he wasn't consuming enough meat. You know, it was too much vegetables, you know, just simple as it's got a veggie garden, too much vegetables. So basically by improving these things, his doctor's really happy because a lot of these deficiencies have gone away. And he's got a really good doctor. He's one of the rare MDs who actually does a total panel. Like he'll send you away and do a total panel on vitamins, minerals, the whole lot. You know, where most other doctors won't do that, you know, especially, you know, the MDs are trying to push drugs onto you. But he's sort of done paleo. He's done like you know, like high protein diets and stuff like that, and lost a lot of weight as a doctor. So he's a younger doctor and he's more interested in trying to learn how things work and all that. So I tend to really do really well. He admires me because I sort of push information to him and studies and stuff like that. So we've got a very good rapport. It's probably I've got a better rapport with Dad's doctor than my doctor. which is funny. It's really funny. But look, my doctor's also a mate I used to play cards with, and I've known him for many years, and it's really, I don't feel comfortable sort of, you know, leaving him because he doesn't give me a hard time or anything like that, and so we've still got a good relationship. So, you know, but he's probably getting older and older and closer to retirement. When he does, I'll switch to Dad's doctor then after that, you know. So
possibly.
Yes, you are, Dylan. You are possibly. You definitely are the youngest. Yes, at least 34 years younger than me. I feel jealous.
I haven't seen Banks Supreme in a while. If he were here, he would probably be the youngest. I think he was 18 or something.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen him for a while as well. You know, it's been a while since. Yeah, he's got another one there for us.
It's probably with me. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, you know what she's like. Carnival clarity, grain finished, fully grain fed. Nice one, Necro Kitty.
That's awesome. Oh God! Oh, that's
you're gonna love it. You're gonna love Richard there, comatose.
Exactly.
Oh God Almighty! That guy's he's really gone from. I think anyone that actually, I would not even bother with Richard anymore. He's sort of lost respect. I think he's probably lost respect even in his own community. That's how bad he is. You know, I mean, it's just, what do you say?
I've always hated his debate tactics and his debates because it's mostly about just taking control of the situation and making him
Basically.
seem as if he's so intelligent and like he has the
Precisely.
upper hand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the reason why he wouldn't debate a person like me or others, because I'm aggressive and I will go for the kill. You know, I won't hold back at all. And that's the difference where, you know, people like Frank probably weren't the best debaters. They're not strong. You have to be a strong person. I mean, I used to be in student politics, and so I was very good at debating. I was also on the committees, and I've also been, you know, on a number of, you know, organisations at the top, right at the leadership. And you have to basically debate other people to get there. You know, especially even one of my hardest attempts was to become Greek president of the Greek community down here, because a lot of the powerful elites have their own people that they push forward. And I was able to outmaneuver all of them and basically get the position. This was years ago when I was in my 30s, in my mid-30s, 20 years ago, a very long time ago. But, you know, you have to basically be a bit Machiavellian and be willing to take the fight to them, because people just don't hand over power or give you a position if you're basically nice and dandy. No, you go in there with a baseball bat, you try to take everybody down so you get to the top. And that, unfortunately, that is the reality, how humans have to be aggressive in the debating. The difference is, at the time when he had that capacity, Richard, is when he was still, you could say, in the honeymoons period, early part of where he had still some animal nutrition in his body. He hadn't depleted to the level now. Now he looks like he's diabetic. He's got peripheral neuropathy because he's got pains and tingles and all stuff he talks about, and he's constantly complaining. He's got a gut microbiome that's absolutely shit. He's even admitted to shitting himself. You know, he's just a mess. You know, he's a young man in his 20s and he's an absolute mess health-wise. You know, he's aging rapidly. He looks older than somebody in his 20s, and he looks very sick in a number of regards. And it's just basically shows that ultimately, if you do that diet long enough, you will basically become very sick. And I really worry for young people like that. And I'm going that have fallen into this sort of nonsense. Fapnado, you can't think. I think I'm 38. What do you mean you think? You know, either you are or you're not. God almighty. He probably is. He probably he probably is. He's trans something. G'day, mate. How's it going, Neff? Good to see you here. Yes.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Don't give that troll a love heart, mate. Don't give that troll. This troll does not deserve any love. I know you're a gentleman, but, you know. Jared, good to see you, mate.
Yes. He said he wanted to pop in for like a few minutes, but I don't know if he's still up for it.
Oh, I didn't actually. I was sort of talking other stuff. I sort of missed that.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay, you should have interrupted me.
I'm still getting the hang of this.
That's okay. Let me just. I'll send him an email link. Okay, I should do it out. What am I doing? Oh, God. I'm forgetting what I'm doing. I will do it directly from here.
He's still there.
I'm sending you a link, mate, if you're still interested. I just hadn't noticed that. I was just, not on the ball today. I'd better have a bit more coffee.
Oh, speaking of coffee, I have to say, for a while there, I rarely use any sort of stimulant or tea or herbal extract or things like that. I try to avoid those, but for a while I used guarana seed powder, which is, it's kind of common over here in Brazil. And I have to say it is intense, but it is seed powder, so there is a lot of stuff you don't want in there. And
Okay.
yeah, I stopped after a while, but one thing that it was rather convenient for me is that I didn't have a habit of making coffee and stuff like that. And it was very intermittent whether or not I wanted to use some sort of stimulant like that. So whenever I was feeling down or something, or I had a huge workload ahead of me, I would just go and put like a small, like a tip of a teaspoon or something of guarana powder on my smoothies or something like that, or just in milk. And it worked for me, but it's probably just as bad as coffee. It's only more concentrated.
It probably is. G'day, Bart. Bart's in the.
Ooh.
Well, he's got the he's got the link. So if he wants to basically pop in, he can pop in. So he knows the actual link. Is there a way to counter taurine synthesis decline without supplementing? You can eat taurine-rich foods. So seafood are some of the best taurine-rich foods in that regard, which doesn't actually put a lot of the other minerals like organ meats do have. But, probably out of all the organ meats, I would say heart is the most concentrated in taurine. Mm-hmm. So, and brain, because it's two areas that really need a lot of taurine. So it's yeah. So you gotta basically at an older age, I would say up until your mid years, you could probably you can do fine on just muscle meats and a bit of fish here and there. Fish is also a very high source of taurine. It is. Yeah, fish is one of the high. It's higher than muscle meat. So,
I've heard raw goat's milk has some taurine.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, taurine is one of those things that even if you cook things, you're not really losing anything. So he's been talking to Jack, from Common Sense Keto. That's Bart.
Yeah, he just posted the video.
Yeah, look, like a lot of people in the Middle East, we've actually, a lot of us, Greeks, Italians, people from Turkey, Turkish people, people from, Iran, the Arab world, Jews, North Africans as well, have had coffee in sort of consumption of coffee for thousands of years. So we've actually got, we've got a lot of adaptation to coffee. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Dad drinks quite a bit of coffee. He's 86, still enjoys his coffee a couple of times a day. He goes to a coffee shop as well. So there's a lot of consumption within that part of the world. That's true. So yeah, not surprised. I actually had a Turkish mate years ago who was in Tasmania, but he left for the mainland, and he used to basically just drink coffee, and he one after another, nearly. So he was a constant. He would probably go through like 8 coffees a day. It was just ridiculous. Yeah, I know. So actually, I knew an Iranian girl. She was studying down here, and she used to consume quite a bit of coffee, probably 5 or 6 cups of coffee a day as well. Yeah. I'm trying to remember her name. Nahid, I think it may be. I may be mispronouncing it. Sorry if there are any Iranians and I've mispronounced it. But yeah, this was years ago when I was much younger that I knew her, in my 20s. So it's been a long, 30 odd years. So she moved interstate. I have no idea where she was. She told me at the time she was going to go back to Iran for a while, and then whether she went back or what she did, no idea. Yeah, so people from that region, we consume. What's the consumption like in Brazil?
It's actually like around 1 to 2
People from
cups
that
per day.
region, we
Oh,
consume.
hey Bart.
Hello.
G'day, Bart. Good to
Hello.
see you, mate.
And you? What's been happening?
Got up late. I still look scruffy as shit.
Shit Evans.
Yeah, basically. I went late. I was actually playing computer games last night, and I actually didn't get to bed until about 3.
All right.
So yeah, exactly.
I've never done that before. I don't know what you're talking about, Harry. I've
Done it plenty
never
of
done
times.
something like that.
And my other mates, he's actually upgraded his system as well. He's playing. It's like crazy, a lot of us. We started years ago. I used to build computers back in the 90s, and I used to sell them at the same time because back then I didn't have much competition. I used to make quite a lot of money, better money than actually working for someone. It was a different era. Then basically, it became a consumer item, so that actually failed. And then I started, I set up a cabling business, and I started basically building a whole lot of cable stuff and all that. And then wireless came out, and that fucked me again. I'm going, oh shit, and I couldn't get the big contracts. I mean, even though I actually went back and did a special cabling course with a company that a lot of these, like the big contracting companies, but I just could not hit a contract ever. I just tried. I just didn't have the connections in that industry, the construction industry. So I gave up on that idea, and I went back to sort of computer support and stuff like that. And then eventually I got into mapping, which is what I do now. And that's a far more stable, both income-wise and life and all that until retirement. But I've had a colourful existence in the other parts of the economy as well, both private and, I mean, Dad comes, he was a boilermaker welder, but also into small business. We had our own store, and quite a successful one years ago. But so I've dabbled in a lot of different things in life. Makes life interesting.
Indeed.
I just need to keep an eye. There's Jared. I'll add him in as well. G'day, Jared. Good to see you, mate.
Hey guys.
Hey, man.
Hello.
How's it?
Not too bad.
How are you doing, Jared?
How you guys doing? Oh, I'm okay. Been better, been worse. Same as usual.
Wow.
I'll leave that for the bad bald man to answer.
Oh, it's the whole what are we called? The Waltons or something with the everybody's on the screen thing.
That's it.
It was the Brady Bunch. That's what I was trying to think of. The Brady Bunch.
Turn my mic up.
Can you
Turn
sing
your
us?
mic up, Jared, if you can. Your audio is a bit low.
Yeah, here, let's see here.
Nope, silent now. Oh, we'll just talk amongst ourselves. He's going to come back, I imagine.
Yeah, he'll come back.
Yeah, he's having a bit of issues.
NecroKitty says, hey, NecroKitty.
Probably Butter actually walked on his keyboard.
Or raw milk, perhaps, as it were.
That's it.
Bit of raw milk, isn't it, Jared?
Exactly, mate. Yes, I like that. I like the tit and a bit of raw milk.
Well, don't we all? Yeah.
Oh, this question's for you, mate.
Is COVID transferred by droplets? What do science say about that? I think the jury is pretty well out on the exact modes, personally, of transmission or non-transmission. I'm not. I haven't seen anything that would convince me one way or the other. I think the science is simply not good enough to answer that question. So what we then are stuck with is looking at associations between things. Thing A being a person who is symptomatic for a coronavirus of some kind, because we're unable to test for which one it is. And B, another person who has been in contact with the first person who is symptomatic, who then, after that time, soon after becomes themselves symptomatic, which would suggest that droplet infection is likely.
Look, it probably is like all. It probably is like all the other coronaviruses. We don't have the research, and you're right, in terms of hard research that you can actually hang your hat on. No, but we can actually say that it probably be compared to the flu. The flu seems to we've got far more evidence in terms of the flu. But since the flu is also another coronavirus as well, they're very similar transmission paths, respiratory. The infection's usually in the respiratory system. So it sort of goes from that yes, the likelihood, but actually the degree of transmission may vary. And I think, that the latest strains may have similar transmittability to the flu, the traditional flu. And that's why they're more concerned about them. But in terms of the actual pathology, it's no different. You're not going to, if you've got comorbidities, you're just going to get as sick from any of the strains. It doesn't make any difference. It just, the new ones may be easier to transmit compared to the past. But even there, it's anecdotal at this stage, and it's a lot, people are speculating.
Oh, anecdotes. No real evidence in your mind, just anecdotes, is it? Is that all?
Basically, mate. So don't forget to muzzle yourself and then put the mask on. But first muzzle yourself and then put the mask on.
Right. Why is it that every time I come on your show, Harry, the chat immediately turns to filth?
Well.
I
Just
guess.
think of the company you're with.
Well, Fappers is here.
Say no more.
Yeah, say no more.
With Fappers here as well.
Apparently, Shell likes them rough too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Shell. Yeah, exactly. We've got Shell. G'day, Scott. How are you, mate? Fappers has got a crush on me, a big man crush.
A big man crush, has he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's called. He thinks I'm his little fairy. He's got a man crush. A real strong man crush. Can't help himself.
Right. What have you been up to?
Anything big and strong.
I mean, just basically I took a week the previous week, and I've been trying to catch up with a lot of work, and I didn't actually manage to do any of that this week, even though working extra hours. So I've got so much fucking extra time on my hands. I'm actually around Australia today. I'm taking 2 flex days, because I've got the extra hours of work that I've actually accumulated. So it's the old story, nowadays, people leave. They don't replace people's positions. They just add more work to you.
Yeah.
There's nothing new there. And now they're trying to actually get one new position, and it's gonna be interesting to see whether we do get an additional person in our area or not, because we've lost quite a few people in recent years and a lot of corporate knowledge as well. So yeah, I'm not impressed, to say the least. But anyway, I'm gonna be careful what I say. Yes.
People were talking about COVID vaccination on the chat. I just have to throw my anecdotes in, but I have been hammering my friends about diet and lifestyle for the past, I don't know, a few months, I guess. They must hate me for it, but I won't stop talking about this because it has turned into a phenomenon where people are completely afraid of the virus, and they won't acknowledge that they can do something about it. They'll be like, no, we must isolate ourselves, and I'm hoping the vaccine comes soon and stuff like that. But you see people just going on about and drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, sodas, and
Exactly.
all that usual shit.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing that a lot of people don't realise is that there's a lot of we've had the flu, we've had all this. People with comorbidities, even if you take a look at the amount of people dying from in these different places like the nursing homes and all that every year, if we look at the stats haven't dramatically changed from from coronaviruses of the flu type to the current one. If it was a dramatic shift, a big, massive change, and it was like killing double the numbers in terms or triple whatever the numbers, then I could basically say, yes, it's a bit like 1918. And it's really, we have to really worry.
Oh,
but when it's
wasn't it 1918? God, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah, it was, it's not like that. So why are we destroying a whole lot of families? People have worked decades to build up businesses, and the government's just trashed them, Yep. So basically, well, remember, we don't need to own anything. It's all going to be owned by our big friends in the big corporations, and they'll be selling us kibble, and we'll be just renting from them because we don't really need to own anything. And basically all we need to do is muzzle ourselves, put a mask on, and eat kibble, and we'll be safe.
Yeah, Bart, you just had Jack from Common Sense Keto. Sorry, can you hear me better now?
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah,
Slightly.
Let's see.
We can make you out, so that's the main thing.
Is that better?
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
better.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you just had Jack from Common Sense Keto on, right? He's in the same province as me, unless he's moved since we last spoke. New Brunswick just passed 10 deaths last week, and they're talking they're talking about going back to the red phase, and they do it in a phased system. So red would be the most severe, where only essential businesses are allowed to open. And in line with what you're saying, Harry, I might be less reticent about such approaches if it seemed like everybody I know was getting sick and businesses had to close because nobody could work and everyone was losing their grandparents. 9 people we had until last week.
Yeah, look, a lot of these people would have died anyway. It's like in Germany, for instance, they vaccinated, they had like 10 deaths from vaccination. And I'm going, a lot of these people were very sick, extremely sick, and possibly it was a waste of money to actually give them the vaccine. It probably is the thing like you go to hospital, you've got a bit of a pain, they give you morphine, and that same amount of morphine in a very frail, very sick person can just push them over the edge. So why the hell will you bother giving that person something like that? Because when they did what's he bloody saying?
He's saying his plan to take over the world is working, and the foolish humans, they're all playing along really well. And
I'm wearing.
No, I can't say that, Jed.
I can just imagine what he's saying.
No, we can't say that. Yeah, no, he's saying it's all going well, and the sheeple are playing along very well. And also, don't forget, if you don't want Granny to die, that you should stay home, muzzle yourself, don't talk to people, and don't touch anybody, and wash your hands 5 million times a day, and that will solve it.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
Have your experimental shots that have not been through the adequate testing that would determine their safety, and that won't prevent you from being a transmitter of the disease, even if they do work, which they probably don't. So,
we know currently the
outcomes reported on the media, but just trust what you see on your TV.
Well, a lot of those, I've actually looked at some of those outcomes, and the reality is a lot of those people that actually have either died, like there was 23 in Norway. There's a couple of different countries, but a lot of them were basically very frail, old people, very sick. And as I said earlier, those people probably, by giving them, it probably pushed them over the edge. It just put too much stress on their body.
Yep.
Like an immune response. They would have got the virus and died, and so requiring that additional sort of response from their immune system is probably what pushed them over the edge.
Those people
plus
have comorbidities, and they would have died anyway. So with
precisely.
The vaccine, it's okay to have a comorbidity, and it's okay to say they would have died anyway. But with the virus, That narrative doesn't play for some reason.
Yes.
Well, we are some bigots up in here, aren't we? Oh, we're not some bigots up in here. Goodness me! Listen to this.
I don't have a
hateful-
YouTube channel that I care about. I don't know.
It's the big. It's not the Brady family. It's the bigot family.
The bigots, yes.
The bigot bunch.
The bigot bunch.
Yeah. Good.
What's this one? Okay. Dave Asprey argues, probably it can actually increase, but who cares? I mean, if it can or whatever, and the liver does detox it, and they probably don't talk about that. You've got two crowds. One that basically says, "Oh, you can actually get more ketones if that's the whole goal, to get more ketones rather than oxidizing fat." And then the other crowd basically that says, "Oh, they can do these other things for you." No, it's still, I still enjoy this toxin, but I also have good detoxification pathways for it. So it's not for everyone.
Oh, piss off, Harry. I haven't had one of those in 17 days. Fucking hell.
I didn't
Not
have any today
one-
just because, but not for any reason.
Not one plant-related anything has passed these lips for 17 days.
That's good. That's good effort, mate. That's good effort.
Indeed.
I mean, I would personally be struggling to basically give up. I enjoy coffee, I have to say. So, if I had to for medical reasons, I would. I can buckle down if I need to, but I wouldn't basically necessarily do it for any other reason. Oops.
Yeah, amazing, Jared, isn't it? That
That's
Dave
it.
would say that. Yeah,
But yeah, he's a
unbelievable.
wealth of information about things that he owns that you should buy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did a video on Dave quite a while ago. People could probably find that on my Fine channel. It's talking about how everything Dave said in one video that he spoke about was a load of nonsense. Fancy that, me telling someone they're wrong on the interwebs. That's never happened before.
About all I've heard him say is something mycotoxin with coffee. I stopped listening after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, that's it's like peanuts and stuff like that. They do have mycotoxins. A lot of the plants do. They store it because of storage and a whole lot of other factors. The type of humidity environments that they tend to come from the tropics. So it's all that sort of stuff. But look, a lot of these people, it's all the the polyphenols and all that, and the hormesis and all that. And I'm going, well, it's poisoning. It's really just basically you're promoting, let's poison ourselves a bit more. The Rhonda Patricks of the world, sulforaphane. Let's really load up that hormesis, all that poisoning, and we will get benefits from it. What?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Good.
fuck.
My mom was surprised. She showed me a video where some woman was promoting, I don't know, it was some kind of plant extract, some kind of herbal infusion or something like that. And the woman was saying, "Oh, it raises your white blood cells or some shit." And then I look at my mom and I said, "You realize that that's bad? Like, if it's raising white blood cells, it's because the body is reacting to it."
Yeah, basically, it's like you remember when they were doing that stupid the vegan movie, I forget what it's called, the Game Changer or whatever, where they were actually look at the sad dieter, because really they were basically comparing a vegan to a sad dieter, because that's what it was, because it was a bun, which is basically a hamburger and all that. But the difference is, yes, that guy had more triglycerides because he was on a sad diet, but the other person who was on the vegan kibble had a bigger band of white blood cells. So they had a bigger sort of response. Their body didn't like it. It was because there was less meat in that. There was no meat. There was just more kibble. It actually responded even more negatively than that. But they ignored that part. So if anybody goes back and looks at the video, they'll actually see the different band. The white band is much bigger, more pronounced. So, it's quite funny how ridiculous, their reductionist nonsense is within that community, and where they always compare themselves. Ornish did the same thing. Esselstein did the same thing. They always compared themselves not against Atkins. It was always against the sad dieters because they were easy target.
I think I have seen a couple carnivore influencers actually do the same test with their blood, and they had low triglycerides, so they had no postprandial lipids.
Precisely. It's again the Randall cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Just ask Bart; he'll tell you.
No, ask Frank. He invented the fucking thing.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Ask Bart Kay of Frank Tefano.
That's it.
Stefano. That's the name I've not heard in a long time.
Frank Tuffanus. Yeah. I wonder if his hamster might be around. I have a feeling he might be. If we just said, hamster, where are you, hamster? I think he might show up.
Yeah, that's true. The hamster mate.
I reckon
Make an appearance.
Hamster. Yeah, Yellow Ted wants to talk to the hamster because he wants to give him one.
I just can't drink this golden water, Bart.
I'll tell you, Yellow Ted's really sick.
He's a very naughty boy. Him and Miss Patricia, they're both very bad for each other, frankly. Along with the hamster and Dolly.
Oh God.
Right, good.
And there he is. Speak of the actual devil. Yes,
I
actually.
told you that might happen. I told you that might happen, Harry. I had a feeling if we called out for the hamster, he might show up. There he is. Hello, hamster. Good to see you, mate. Yellow Ted's just cracked one. I won't show you because he's just got very excited.
Oh God. Is he on Viagra as well?
Wow.
Or is it the effect of the cerule on him?
Well, exactly. He's doing the green stuff, and I tell you what, there's a real effect.
That is a sales point that you need to make more often, Bart, that Yellow Ted's been taking the pills as long as you, and he hasn't aged a day.
That's right. He hasn't. Yep. Good. Yes. Good.
Oops, I'm all over the place.
How do you get
what-
Luke's autograph? Yeah,
What was that?
Somebody said they wanted to know how to get Luke's
Oh, yes.
autograph. Famous. We'll ask him.
Exactly.
Probably.
It probably depends what they're looking to get autographed.
Yeah, it depends. it heavily depends.
Exactly, within reason.
And is it long enough to write his name on?
Yes, he'll be locked away. Nobody's going on holidays. That's it. Give up on the whole idea of going abroad on a holiday.
There's the old joke, of course, about the West Indian gentleman that was guiding about the size of his endowment, and he was asked to prove it, and he got it out, and the woman said, "Well, that's not very long." She said, "And why have you got my name tattooed on the top of your penis?" He said, "What do you mean, man?" And she said, "Well, it says Wendy." And he says, "No, man." Stretches it out. "Hello, welcome to the West Indies, and have a nice day."
Nice one, mate.
Very good.
Cheryl's telling us a real secret. Most vegans are not vegan. We know that. They all cheat.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Revelation, they all cheat.
I thought they were for real.
Plot twist.
See what you've done, Shell? You've burst Bart's bubble. He had this whole belief system that they were really, conscientious, never cheated or whatever. Can't you see the disappointment? You should be ashamed of yourself, Shell.
Anyway,
Fappers is amused.
Peppers is always amused. If not by us, by himself.
That's it. My vegan best friend doesn't think I saw her sneaking some of my brie on New Year's. Oh. Well, there you go. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Look, I've seen people that are so-called plant-based or even vegetarians, and they'll go for certain things. I mean, I buy the raw milk down here, and I say to the vegetarians at work, I say, well, why don't you go up to City Organic, buy some raw milk and all that, because they're always talking about ethically acquired and all this sort of stuff. And no, they just go and buy the regular stuff. So it just tells you the level of hypocrisy out there is just endless. Yes, when it comes to the Church of Anorexia Vegana, it's to be expected. But even their predecessors, the vegetarians, they know better.
Yeah. Basically, there are two types of people in the world, Harry, and they should both be avoided.
That's true. But the good thing about the vegans is they tell you that they are vegans, so that you know what to avoid.
Yes.
And when
Exactly.
it's like the CrossFitters as well.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, I'm a cross-cutting vegan.
It's funny. I feel so offended when people know that I exercise on the gymnastics rings, and they're like, "Oh, isn't that like CrossFit?" And I'm like,
No.
no.
It's nothing like that.
You could answer that
Just-
question just by
just no.
fucking them in the face. Okay.
Oh, is that
Sorry,
the-
now,
oh,
I'm gonna. Oh, well, I was going to say I was going to be banned from Twitter for violence there. However, that can't happen because I've already nuked my Twitter and said, "Get fucked, you cunts." So,
oh, do you mean you didn't give them a chance to ban you?
no, I banned them.
I have a Twitter account that was registered in like 2008 that I think I sent one tweet from, and I've been debating changing the handle and profile picture to Donald Trump, along with the We Are Donald Trump movement.
Yeah, do it.
I mean, it's like I always say to people, I'm trying to think who the person who basically, it was a French guy. Oh God.
That narrows it down.
Anyway, but he basically said that he may not agree with a person, but he'll defend his right to basically say whatever he wants.
Oh, Voltaire, yeah.
Voltaire, that's it, Voltaire.
Yes, Voltaire.
Yes, exactly. But and that's really, you don't have to support a certain person, but the right to basically, for that person to basically, in a free society. But unfortunately, the way we're going is it's not looking as free
Yes.
at all.
Yellow Ted says it's for your safety, Harold.
Oh,
All these
fuck
people
you,
who
Yellow
like
Ted.
censorship who don't think it's
It's
going
for
to be
your
good for them.
safety.
I knew Yellow Ted, you're a shill. You're a shill.
For your safety. That's what Yellow Ted says.
Yeah, he's a damn shill. Yeah, we know that.
Have your papers? Yes. You have your COVID passport? Yes. Where are you going? Why are you not in your house?
And stuff.
I'm still waiting for the internal passports. Where you, in order to go from one neighbour to another, you have to actually have a passport, an authority to go from.
Yeah,
It's
they
coming
do-
like.
They do keep shrinking the areas that you're allowed to travel in Canada. It's first they stop interprovincial travel, and they break the provinces into zones, and they stop traveling between the zones.
Was that
And
Beam?
now they're talking about stopping travel between cities within the zones. So next it'll be like a city block and then your house.
Yeah, basically. I mean, when we went yesterday at Salamanca Market. You have to basically either with a Q card or you have to sign in to basically get into the market.
Tim's just come to the door saying, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Hi, Pim.
She can't hear you. She's busy reaching out.
He's just crusading against authoritarianism nobly.
Yes, that's right. We are crusading nobly. Mm. Yes. Curfews in Quebec, fappers. Mm.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
I
Yeah.
just gave
Ontario
thanks
is
my
following
autograph.
suit, and looks like British Columbia wants to ban all travel into the province. So we'll see where this goes. Yeah, it's not going
we
to be
have a
fixed with
statewide
vaccine.
thing here.
And even the people administering the vaccines admit that it's not going to be fixed with a vaccine. It's going to be a vaccine schedule. It's going to have to be, are you up on your latest vaccine? Because you might have survived this one, but...
Yeah, look, it's like a slippery slope into authoritarianism using these sort of methods.
Look, I wish it was a slippery slope. This is just running headlong at this point.
That's true as well. Yeah,
Yes.
It depends on the country. I mean, some countries aren't as bad as that, and so that's why I'm saying it's sort of a globally a slippery slope. But in some countries, it's actually. I mean, if you go to China, it's really severe. But it's if you go to, it depends on the country how bad it is and how the population is willing to sort of accept these continuous sort of restrictions. I mean, Australia, for instance, we have restrictions even between states, quite severe. And I've always said it should have only been done at the federal level, where the government itself controlled just the borders and allowed people to just move within that. And you just, if they wanted to basically do their isolation things, just isolate where there are hotspots. They could have done that without closing down the whole economy and all that sort of stuff. Based on their own thinking, they've just gone
the Australian
overboard.
Constitution guarantees you the right to move unhindered between states, Harry.
Yep, I'm well aware of the right to free movement. It is. The free movement of people and all that, you can only basically in times of war, those sort of things, as where it's a national emergency in times of war or whatever. It does not basically include, things of this sort. But the problem is they are reinterpreting that as sort of like that it's a crisis similar to a war. And I think that's, if somebody was to challenge that all the way to the High Court, they may get some sort of traction based on that. The problem is a lot of people went, some person challenged, a wealthy person here in Australia, which I don't like him generally, he's a bit of a con artist, but he basically challenged to the High Court and lost. But the grounds that he actually challenged was, whether the Premier had the right. Technically, the states created the federation, so in a sense they have, what I mean, some rights higher than the federal government in a sense. And so on a technicality, he lost. But if he was to basically, had he challenged based on the free movement of goods and people, just that part of the Constitution, ignored everything else, and we're not in a war situation, then potentially there could have been a different outcome. But it was never challenged in that. I think sometimes a lot of people don't realise that the Constitution has got different types of components to it, and depending on how you challenge something, you may, fall foul of some other part of the Constitution. So you've got to be very careful, and I think that it just wasn't really thought out well in the way I perceive it anyway. And I've actually a lot of my friends are actually lawyers, and I've actually spoken to a number of them as well. So
there's
that
no
regard.
Outcome that doesn't justify further draconian measures is the thing.
Basically.
It's a problem that's been highlighted from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, when they thought that it was basically something like, and that was based on faulty science coming out of the UK, out of Oxford University, where they really came up with some really bad, science, and that was that it was going to be like 1918, massive pandemic, millions are going to die, going to be falling all over the place, and under those sort of circumstances, yes, exactly, it's like Nazi Germany, with times of occupation as well, where you were limited to be able to go out between certain hours. Yeah, it's really bad.
The Department of Health at Stanford University just released a peer-reviewed paper. I haven't looked closely at it, but they looked at hosts of different regions and the lockdown protocols with different varying levels of compliance, and they determined in 75% of the overlap that lockdowns were making the virus spread worse. I'll pull it up, put it in the private chat here for you, actually, if you want to have a look at it.
Look, the classical things, yeah, you can do that if you want to. The classical things when it comes to basically, is that in there?
Just while you're looking for that, Necrokitty thinks I don't have a pet horse. What she doesn't realize is I am a fucking horse. So
Oh god.
this is not my sex toy. This actually belongs to the field marshal. Funnily enough,
Oh, hang on.
he'll be using it as a pointer.
Try sharing it.
The tweet I referenced got deleted. What a surprise!
Oh, wow, there you go.
I'm so surprised by that.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yes, COVID can't spread at night time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically, that's right. A lot of people that, you know, somebody who's wealthy doesn't really care, is making millions. They can basically, you know, you can see them. How many times we've seen big wealthy entertainers and wealthy people out and about. They don't care if they get a big ticket, they can pay it. But, you know, the average person that's, you know, being indoctrinated to be eating kibble on an average wage, basically, they got no hope. It's just the unfairness of it, you know, is so bad, let alone that the risk that this can become, they can use this for any other future crisis or whatever, continuously trying to use to restrict and control our movements, what we say, what we do. And we've got all these organizations that are basically, you know, out of control. You know, the reality is Twitter, Facebook, and all that are basically controlling what we can actually say and what is allowable.
There we go. I found the paper regardless.
You did? Yep. Did you just post it? Is that the one posted in the private?
Yep.
Okay, I'll fire that up.
They were just looking at non-pharmaceutical interventions, which they
Are you not able to share, Jared? Are you not able to share? Is that the thing?
Oh no, I can put it in the YouTube.
Yeah, but look, now that you've given it, I'll just share it. Don't worry. Yeah, I just wasn't sure whether there's.
I don't know if that's the best host for it. It's on a few different websites. But anyway, this is a paper that's been accepted for peer review.
So that's basically, you know, European Journal of
found it
Clinical
on
Investigation, assessing mandatory stay-at-home business closure effects on the spread of COVID-19. Okay, we'll just take a quick look at that.
That is a really, really badly written abstract because it gives you no information whatsoever about what the paper says. That's really poor.
Yeah,
Bad work, those peer reviewers. Do it again.
Yeah, pretty much. They're not. Yeah, it's just basically a motherhood statement, nothing else. It's telling us nothing, because that should be basically telling us, you know, how they did it, why, what sort of resulting came at, sort of a general background of their study.
Scroll down a bit, Harry. There might be a bit more information below that first paragraph that might just get them out of jail a bit. Okay, here we go. Yeah, while small benefit cannot be excluded, we did not find significant benefits on case growth or more. Yeah, no, there's no information there.
Similar reductions in case growth may be achieved with less restricted interventions. So basically, looking at around the world, they basically didn't find anything that stood out in any statistically significant way that basically showed that there was any real benefit, other than some societies thought that it was a great thing to do. No, which is just bloody crazy.
Yeah, dickheads. Okay, good.
Yes. Anyway, let me just go back to the regular stuff. Oh, back to the boxes. That's your response. Anyway, you got his response.
No,
what's
I'm
Ted?
going to tell the boys and girls you're involved as well. That's our secret. Just the three of us. All right? Shush. Goodness. He's a bad boy. Oh, hello,
Yes.
pussy.
Yes, she thinks this is most unusual. I'm never talking at my computer down here like this.
Oops. Where's Butter? Hiding?
Butter's just on. I can reach her actually. She's just right here.
Dragging her over.
Come here.
Right there.
I know.
Oh, her own seat, really comfortable, sitting there enjoying it.
That's the cat.
And she's like, what? What do you fucking want? What?
Yeah, that's your
Yes.
attitude most of the time.
Can't you see I'm busy doing cat stuff here? For fuck's sake, Jared.
That's correct.
Why are you annoying me?
So, you need to get a small fluffy friend like Professor Fluffy. She's always happy to come and say hello and be a problem.
Well, Jared may not want that problem. He may just like the cuddle and the purr.
Yes.
So what's happening in New Zealand, mate, with your training and all that? Because
Yeah, I've been focused for the last couple of weeks pretty intently on the dietary side of things, what we're undertaking this coaching with Raymond and undertaking the transition to absolutely, I'll speak of the people, hello Fluffy, absolutely no plant material of any kind whatsoever, no alcohol, no coffee, no spices, just meat and fat, salt and water, that's it. So I've been focused on that. We did a around about 12-kilometre paddle. Was that 2 days ago? 2 days ago, we went around an island called Pepin Island in a place called Cable Bay, just down the road from here, which is for sale, by the way. $16 million and you can have it, the whole island. Something like 500 and something hectares of it, 1,200 acres. It's a working farm. It's got pine trees on it that are near maturity. It's got an orchard. It's got 1,600 sheep and several hundred cattle. It's obviously
did you just notice the emphasis? It's got how many sheep? 1,600.
1,600, mate. So you've got your choice there. You can pick your choice of sheep. It's all good. It's got walnuts if you like that kind of thing. Macadamias. There you go. I'm told it's macadamias. Yep, not walnuts. Anyway,
you got to have some. You got to have some kibble on there for the odd vegan that would turn up and visit.
Yeah. What do you think?
Crowdfunding.
Yeah, we need to crowdfund, please. $16 million is required.
16 million.
16 million New Zealand dollars. So I don't know how much that is in American peso or Australian peso, but Harry, you should have that in your back pocket, shouldn't you?
Oh, I wish.
Like I thought you were well to do.
I'm okay, but I'm not that well to do. As in 16 million, it's more like some of my mates are sort of in that sort of category.
Fluffy. Oh, say the boys and girls. He's Fluffy. Ooh. He's Fluffy. Oh. So Fluffy has just said she needs to go for a walk now with the other dog and she who wields the whip. So we'll love you and leave you, boys and girls, and we'll go for our afternoon perambulation around the park, and Fluffy will run around like an absolute mad cunt on the sports fields chasing swallows. Never catches them, but never gets bored of running around at 1 billion miles an hour going. I shall try and get some footage of that one day because it really is as funny as fuck, I can tell you. It never gets old. But yeah, that's that. So thanks for having me. It was a pleasure as always. Harry, what time is your latest stream?
6 o'clock, 8 o'clock your time.
Roger. We'll see what we can do about that. Maybe free. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, good. Nice to see you all.
See you, mate. Good to see you here.
Stay well, Bart.
Yellow Ted says, make sure you all have your muzzles on and no talking people. All right? Good.
Yes.
See you later.
Bye,
See you,
Bart. Oh, by the way, on the private chat, I posted a zombies study.
He wants to go back to the gold standard. I think that's
he hasn't openly stated that in a while. There is some audio of him saying that.
Look, the reality is
one of his recent Fed appointments does, I guess.
If the US basically wants to give up their sort of global hegemony of their reserve currency status, yeah, they can do that. Based on their current debt to GDP ratios and all that, they'll take a big hit in the short run for a number of, maybe a decade, in terms of GDP growth and their living standards. They can do that. That's true.
Yeah, it would take a long time, and it would have to be precipitated by economic collapse elsewhere.
Precisely, yeah. So if you basically had like a global reset in terms of economic collapse, like the next big crisis would probably be bigger based on the debt levels. At that point in time, potentially you could be looking at something like that. At this point, forget it, unless you're on a suicide mission economically.
No, yeah. It's not something to do overnight.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It'd be a very big risk to take. Was it doing that?
Bye, Shell.
So that was the... So Lukey put this one up. I'll just quickly share.
Yeah. Zombie wanted to post that, so she gave me the link.
Oops, go big. Vitamin D supplements don't help ward off cold, flus, new research finds, which is absolute bullshit. It's absolute crap. There's so much literature. You know what they're actually doing? All these studies, they're actually using very lower doses.
Yeah, exactly.
So she looks like a vegetarian type of person. I wouldn't be surprised if she was. I'm not kidding you. When I've looked at the background of some of these academics, I find that they're either vegans or vegetarians. You know? So it doesn't surprise me that they've got a hostility towards any animal foods or fat-soluble vitamins or whatever. But the reality is when you look at the research, it's always sort of the low RDI levels where they're researching. Mm-hmm. Now, at those levels...
RDI, like 400 or something, IU?
Yeah, well, yeah, anywhere between 400 to 800 or 600, what is it? About 600 IUs, which is basically just enough to ward off rickets. That's it. It's not to the levels to basically be protective for the immune system and all that. And I've actually explained it in the past, like in terms of the need for the actual body to have a certain level, not only bound vitamin D, which is a 25-OH-D3, and then the active one that comes after, but also there's the free vitamin D, and that free vitamin D can go into a number of organs and cells, like in particular can go into things like your breast tissue, things like your basically your different organs, and they've got a whole lot of enzymes, let alone into your Leydig cells and stuff like that, which is basically for reproduction. We won't even touch on that sort of side, but all these other organ systems that have receptors in there, your immune system and all that, the requirement is much higher. Just being out in the sun for a small amount of time with fair skin, you can actually have anything, depending on the strength of the sun, between 10,000 to 20,000 IUs a day. So the actual, if you want to have the high nanogram type levels in your blood in terms of vitamin D, the healthy levels which we find like in the sort of 50 range and stuff like that, which we find with tribal societies like the Maasai and people like that, you really need to basically be either out in the sun quite a bit or literally supplementing anywhere between 5,000 to, depending on how fat you are, because you'll basically store some of that in your fat, in your adipose tissue, up to basically 20,000 IUs a day. And the only time you don't take any supplementation is when you're losing weight because you're on a diet or fasting or whatever, because you're releasing a lot of that in your bloodstream and you don't want too much. But otherwise, the reality is it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit upon bullshit by these sort of academics that are giving people such low levels. They're seeing nothing, obviously, because you're only covering rickets and, you're actually vitamin D deficient at that level. It's just crazy.
Like, I would say that even harder than getting people to change their views about diet is getting people to change their views about the sun, because most people are just so goddamn scared and they are like, no, you shouldn't go out in the sun when it's midday or something like that. But
because they experience the effects of it, right? They don't understand that their diet will give them resilience against burning and enable them to heal properly, so they won't burn to begin with, and these sorts of things. So they think that because they go out in the sun once without changing anything else, and they get a bad sunburn.
Precisely.
It must be because of the sun.
And the funny thing is, last time I went to the doctor and he looked at my my results and he was like, well, your vitamin D is so high. What are you doing? Are you taking something? I'm like, I'm not taking anything. I'm just sunbathing.
You're in the sun. Exactly. And the thing is, you need on a daily basis, because when you take high doses, like a one-off high dose, what actually happens is some of that will go into adipose tissue.
Yes, precisely.
So basically you'll store a lot of that, and you won't actually necessarily release a lot of that either. So the thing is, you want to be taking every day a certain level of dosage. And so, I usually anywhere between 5 and 10,000 IUs, depending. If I don't go out, if I'm in the sun in winter and I'm outdoors, for quite a few, then I'll just use 5,000. Otherwise, I'll do 10,000. And it's really important because it's so important for your immune system. Really important for just general health, feeling better, feeling less pain. When people have been vitamin D deficient for a long time, I usually say to them, take MK4 and then take high doses, 100,000 IUs for about a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks, drop down to 50,000 IUs, half of that for the remainder of the month, and then come down to about 20,000 for about another 2 months, and then drop down to basically the 10,000 or 5,000, 10,000, depending on whether you're getting outdoors or not. Because at those levels, they will saturate their body with enough vitamin D to basically fix the deficiency, and they'll feel much better. Things like fibromyalgia and a lot of other things start going away at that point. Autoimmunity starts going away. If you just Google in PubMed autoimmunity and vitamin D, like thousands of studies come up. Thousands of studies. That's how important it is in terms of respiratory infections. Vitamin D is the key controller of matrix metalloproteinases. So all the collagen degrading enzymes in your lungs are primarily controlled by vitamin D. So if you get cold, but you get damage to your lungs or whatever, vitamin D is really important. I mean, yes, I know taurine helps in terms of breaking down that fibritic tissue and basically restoring normal tissue in the actual lungs. But there's a lot of things, choline and palmitate, the saturated fats, which is very important for lung surfactant. There's a lot of elements to it. But
K2 is also very important for scar tissue.
What's that?
Right? K2 is also very important for scar tissue.
Yep,
right?
it is. It's a minor player in the lungs, but it is important as well. MK4 in particular. It's the animal form, just the animal form. Even the other menaquinones will have to get converted to the MK4 to basically get into the lungs. In the brain, again, MK4. It's not any of the other menaquinones. The magic in your lungs, your heart, and your brain, and many other parts of your body is the MK4 version. Liver, yes, liver can take up K1. That's different because liver actually has to create a lot of other clotting enzymes and a lot of other things. That's a different thing altogether. But most of your other tissue, really, the heart and brain are the biggest hogs. Probably kidneys come probably next after that, but I would say the two biggest hogs when it comes to MK4 would be the heart and the brain. Yeah, the biggest ones that I can think of.
So, Harry, would you say it's worth it to maybe eat some chicken thighs to get more MK4?
Yep. I mean, I had basically, like on Friday, I had half a chook, like actually half a chook, which is quite a lot of meat, but that's what I had because there's also MK4 even in the breast tissue. Yes, I know the brown in the dark tissue there's more, but it compared to, so I basically on the Friday I had brie, it was probably a bit over 100 grams of brie, and the rest was just a massive chicken. I just couldn't eat so much cheese. I did come back in the evening when I got home, and I did have a bit extra cheese, a bit of brie, but that was just I just felt like, well, I wasn't hungry. I just wanted it a bit, just out of, whatever. You know how we are. We're humans, sort of, I wouldn't want a bit. But generally speaking, I get enough MK4 from the foods and stuff like that. So I don't really worry. The biggest problem with, exactly, in certain months, that's right, in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's the opposite in the Southern Hemisphere, that we can't actually get. And it's pretty much in our winter period, which is the complete opposite, just if people think. So, you've got the October, which is the second month of spring, is usually you'll get in the Northern Hemisphere, things will come down, and that's just normal, the cycle, depending on, because what's your latitude?
I don't know. Let's look.
Okay.
I don't know offhand. I mean,
because I know if you're above Atlanta, which you definitely are, you're basically, you're getting bugger all. Mm-hmm. So that's well known. So it's, because you've got and that's a Tropic of Capricorn.
I think it's 45 or so, Harry.
Whoa.
Okay, which is very similar to you guys are actually further away than Tasmania because we're 40 degrees south. So you're even further in terms of north.
Yeah.
So you would definitely those months definitely, and the other months adjoining like September, April, May, sort of those sort of months would also be most people probably would get very little because they're working indoors mainly, so they get very little. Really,
when I go out and sunbathe, I'll end of September usually is when I start. I just go by feel because regardless if I'm actually getting tanned or not, it still feels nice to be in the sun at solar noon. But right around the end of September, early, maybe mid-October, you get the occasional day, but you're not really going to get any consistently good feeling weather past September here.
Exactly. Probably being pro Supplements being the worst thing. Yep. In a lot of people, they actually convert to cyanide, and it's probably a lower quality type. It needs to be methylfolate or folate from food, which is pretty much. Sometimes I find that sometimes as Jared probably can attest to that because we've talked about it a bit. Yes, it's very easy to get caught out. Like I actually got one brand in Australia which had methylfolate, and it was the same company. And in, for instance, Canada or other parts, they were actually selling it as cyano.
That was B12. It was the.
Was it the B12?
Yeah, cyanoform
okay.
B12.
Yeah. It was a B12. Sorry, I just can't remember.
Yeah,
it was
this
a while
B
ago.
complex though has what is it here? It's methylfolate, methyl tetrahydrofolic acid.
Yeah. That's the problem with some of these supplement companies. They can actually produce slightly different variations. Like even on the iHerb site, you have to put the CA in front for Canada or AU, and use a VPN in order to, because it will revert to your country always, whatever the IP address is. So I had to connect to the Canada one to basically see exactly what exactly they were actually. Yeah, it's that sort of. I don't look. It's probably because they're being produced in different sort of facilities, and that's where that's coming from, depending on the facility. So you've got to be.
Yeah, it was this one that you had suggested.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's got the folate in it is as folic acid, and the B12 is as cyanocobalamin.
Yeah, exactly. Where in other countries it's slightly different. The same company actually has different formulations. And the other thing is, which I got caught out once. This was a couple of years back when I was actually getting a methylfolate for Dad, and I got caught out and I bought the wrong one because the company, like on the website, they had methylfolate, but they'd actually changed their formulation. So when I bought it from the pharmacy, they'd changed the formulation, and I just found out after. And that was just sheer accident when I was just giving it to Dad. And then he said, "Oh, how much am I taking of that?" And I said, "I can't remember, Dad. Let me take a look." And that's when I realized, when I looked at the actual formulation, I said, "Oh, fuck," that they changed the formulation. But they don't tell people. That's the problem, which is sort of unfortunate. Very easy to get caught out. If you haven't taken something for a long time, they can change the formulation on you. So you got to check every single time you take a supplement. The same thing if you're taking any packaged foods. So I got caught out with an ice cream. The ice cream, basically, they had changed the formulation and they included canola oil, where before they lowered the actual amount of the actual ice cream quantity by a certain percentage points, so they'd gone, I can't remember, it was about 20-something% to about 18% or below that, or 15%, I can't remember. And they took out the animal fats and they substituted that with canola oil. But, I had, and because it was a low sugar one, I had the illusion, oh yeah, I'm not getting any of that. I'm getting lower sugar, none of the seed oil shit. And then I was actually, a friend of mine was actually talking. I said, "Oh, look, I take that because it's got no seed oils and no that." And he actually looked at the package and goes, because we were basically having it that night, and he goes, I think you're wrong, Harry." I said, "What do you mean?" And I looked at the package, and it had changed slightly, the packaging. They'd actually brought a new color. It was a bit different, but it was the same brand. It just got repackaged, but they had actually changed the formulation at the same time. And that was really fucking annoying. Right up at my sister's place when she was still in Hobart at the time. And it goes, oops. So, yeah, you got to continually read the damn stuff. When you're buying packaged stuff, you don't know whether the companies are going to change for profit reasons their formulation. They're very sneaky.
So just to be clear, methyl tetrahydrofolic acid or methyl tetrahydrofolate is the correct form that you're looking for, as opposed to just folic acid.
That's it.
Sometimes abbreviated as MTH or MTHR.
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, over here, some people still have the habit of taking nutritional supplements that are based on powdered milk. So we have things like they are usually for children, but there are some for adults and for old people as well. So it's like some sort of small pot. It has powdered milk and a few nutrients added to it. But if you don't, most people don't know about this. If you don't know about the different forms of vitamins and minerals, you're going to think that it's doing something for you where it could not even be helping you at all, because like the magnesium is magnesium oxide, which you barely absorb, and the it's just folic acid. It's not, and it goes on and on. All the various nutrients, they usually aren't on the best possible form, so it's usually a waste of money.
Yeah, look, that's true. That's the biggest problem nowadays, that these companies are continually trying to, even the fortified stuff, they continually try to cut corners and reduce the amount of cost for them to maximize their profits, and they just are adding all sorts of things in there. And also the names of some of these things are constantly changing, so you have to keep up with them. So they will use a whole lot of different names for sugars, or a whole lot of different names now, even for the oils. Yes. Some of the stuff, like you look at it and you go, oh, now what are they using here? Because it's not clear. They don't tell you what. And so unless you go on a website and check and find out, you got no idea. And that's the biggest problem that, it's trying to, can you imagine the average person trying to keep up with all this nonsense? It's just impossible.
Yep.
That's why a lot of people out there have got no hope in hell, trying to basically get their health better when there's all this sort of nonsense that's actually taking place.
Yeah, this was, as far as I'm aware, this is about the best B complex you can get on the market. I was actually made aware of it by FAP NATO. And it's all of the B vitamins basically in their preferred form. But you open up the bottle and the pills are green like this because they have friggin' chlorophyll in the capsule for no reason at all. And that gives me terrible indigestion. So I've actually written them to ask why they don't make a version without chlorophyll.
Why would you do that?
But yeah, apart from that, it's pretty good. It has thiamine as benfotiamine and niacin as it's not even niacinamide. It's inositol hexanocotinate. That's another form that I'm aware of. Anyway.
Yep. That works. That works through. That works a similar through the similar pathway. I think because you've got the tryptophan pathway, which ties into the nicotinic acid pathway, and then you've basically got the nicotinamide, which is through that salvage pathway. And I think that actually, from memory, I can't remember, don't quote me, I think that actually goes through that salvage pathway as well, I think, which then goes through the NMN sort of pathway, the one that gets affected by CD38, so to speak, if you're older. So yeah, probably. But then again, if you're healthy and you've got your pathway is functional, yeah, it won't be a problem really that much in that regard. Anyway, we're up to about nearly 3 hours, guys. I'm gonna pull the plug in about in about 2 minutes, because I do have the evening one. The evening one is not going to go for very long, just for people know it's going to go for 2 hours. It's going to be just the Eurasian one for 2 hours, because basically I just need the hours for the. Remember, this month, it's 5 weeks, and so if I go beyond that, then I won't have enough for the other subsequent weeks in terms of my StreamYard sort of times. So there'll be only the other ones will be 2.5. The ones. The only reason this one went a bit longer because we had so many good guests that turned up, which was great. Thanks, guys. I do appreciate it.
Always good to be here, Harry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to pop back in, Harry. I'm glad that I was able to make it.
Yeah, good to see you. So, and good to see Lukey. He seems, now that he's towards the end of his sort of schooling and all that, and he seems way calmer, chilled out. He's also eating a bit more animal foods, which is,
Indeed.
I suspect helping him as well. Look, it's not a race to the finish. I mean, I sort of transitioned myself and had less, it was much easier. So I didn't have a lot of these sort of transition issues that other people have had that talk about it continuously. So, nothing wrong with that.
Yes,
And,
I just get pissed multiple times about still eating rice,
Yeah, and pretty much, the thing is, we're all on a journey to better health, and sort of working together with each other, and sort of using each other as sounding boards and stuff like that. We'll get there. It's at the end of the day, as I say, we're all heading for oblivion in one way or another. It's just to basically make the trip much more comfortable, not as painful in that regard. So that's the way I sort of view it. And so, people like Bart are very useful, and Pim as well. There's Mary, people that have come across, you guys, that basically Necro Kitty and Shell and everyone else that basically does their own little bits of N of ones or whatever that come into Discord and all sorts of other sort of approaches, and provide some of their information, which is helpful. Give us a bit of background. I mean, even things like a zombie that was talking about one of her friends that sort of hit the brie and all that. It's useful information, because basically we know that at the end of the day, like, we fall off the wagon, but we're not religious about it. We fall off the wagon, but we're not religious about it. They are religious about it. You're not vegan if you fall off the wagon. You were never vegan or whatever. And so we see these people constantly, because at the end of the day, we're all bloody human.
There's some sort of projection at play, because if you're vegan and you say, oh no, I couldn't help it, I had some eggs, they'll be like, no, you are not following the ethics and stuff like that. But if you're carnivore and you say, oh, I had some bread 5 days ago, and they're like, that's not good for you, but whatever.
Exactly. That's exactly right, because it's not a religion. Well, unless you're Sverige, but generally for the majority of people, we're basically sensible, and we realise that humans are humans. We're always going to fall. We're going to be sociable and find ourselves in social, family, settings where we're going to slip up here and there, and that's just the reality of things. So there's nothing wrong with that. Is it optimal? No, but we're not claiming that our slip-ups are basically optimal. We're just saying we're human and we slip up. Don't follow me. Follow what we're doing is we're putting the science forward and saying this is what the best science tells us. The best research, to be more precise, the best research elucidates that this is the best way to actually live. And when we look at studies, even done by vegetarians, people like Christopher Gartner out of Stanford University, it shows the Atkins diet, or a meat-heavy diet, is superior. And that's all we're claiming. We're not claiming anything above that. Then some of our opponents have actually revealed to the world, when they've done their research, honestly, not this sort of dubious stuff that Ornish does or Ethelstein did, because they never did anything which was randomized control. They never did. Ornish and Ethelstein never did. They did it within their own clinical environment. No control was used, so we can't know what the factors were. So no control, no other diets or anything like that. So basically, we've got nothing to compare before and after or whatever else, compared to different diets and between controls, whether placebo was in effect. So basically, those studies are useless, let alone the effect was so minor. It could be just a random thing. So that's what we need to remind people that about the bullshit that side of politics actually promotes. So I think we're on the right side of history, and ultimately history will prove us right and them wrong. We're just basically now in the actual, you could say, in the battlefield. We're in the middle of the battle between the misanthropists that want to basically muzzle us and feed us kibble, and the rest of humanity that basically are somewhere in between the two camps and are very ill-informed at this stage. But as they get sicker, they will come to the light away from darkness, which is what the vegan cult is all about. It's part of the darkness. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here today. I appreciate it. And also thanks to Bart for being here earlier. Lukey, appreciate it, mate. Hope you do really well with your internship and your final sort of studies work that you're doing. So keep up the good work. We need people like yourself in our community. And Jared, thanks for making an appearance, mate. Good to be here, my fellow milk drinker.
Thanks, Harry. Actually, if you have 5 minutes after the stream, I wouldn't mind running a question by you.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I meant after we're done.
Sorry. Yeah. I will end the stream. Thanks, guys, for being here. Take care, and I will see some of you guys later tonight, and the rest next week. See yous.
Stay well, everyone. Bye-bye.